Hello and welcome to Talk Tuesday. We're sponsored by the Greatest You Academy. Today we're talking about love languages and how to use them to strengthen your relationship. I'm Mia Sines and this is Lori Montree, and we're really excited to have you here. Yeah. So let's
Mia, let me ask you a quick question. I am super blurry.
You are.
On my screen. Yeah.
You are.
And it started.
But it's well, if you just there you are. Now you're not quite as blurry. Hold on.
It was fine when I first signed in.
So let's talk about love languages even more. Most people, I know that I wasn't for a long time aware of what they even were within my own relationship. So do you want to go over what they are, or would you like me to? And
why don't you take us through a little bit, and then I can talk about how to use them and why it's important to understand this language that we all use.
Beautiful. So there's 5 love languages, and they relate to how you like to receive love. Now, I want you
to how you express it, right?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and I want you to think about this because I didn't realize until a couple years ago. Yeah, I'm the love lady, right? I didn't even realize this, that I had to look at the way I was expressing mine and to know what that was about. A girlfriend came over for coffee this morning, and we were talking about these love languages and how they actually affect and how we also express them out. So that's really, I just found that fascinating, that we want to receive and or give, and they might be totally separate. So quality time, that's a very important one for me. Giving gifts, acts of service, not active, acts of service, words of affirmation, and physical touch. So this could mean many different things. I'm going to mute whoever's not muted there. This could mean a lot to different people, and it's not just that you have to have one. My belief is you develop being comfortable and loving all of them and reflect all of them out, and that gives a perfect balance. And that's what I'm striving for. I'm still working on it, guys.
Yeah. It's nice to think of ourselves as being fluent, right, in all of these, but most likely we're going to have a couple that are really important. And when I think about that, as far as being on the receiving end, it's just they mean a lot. Like, for example, if we take myself, for example, I love receiving a gift. Like, how wonderful that someone thought of me and did that. But doesn't really, you can buy me gifts all day long, but if you're not also, doing some of these other things, I'm not going to feel the love. And it's just who I am. The gifts just are my 5th most important, and the way I like to receive, and that's okay. It's not that we're judging one is better than the other, right? But we can also think about, as you were saying, what do I really, those words of affirmation, for me, that's number 1. Yeah. The words of affirmation, quality time, like those 2, if you're doing that with me, I don't, the other ones are, it's fine. I can appreciate it, but it doesn't land with me as strongly as the other 2. And then there's the way that we give, which may be different, right? It just so happens that words of affirmation and touch are my 2 biggest ways of expressing. And that's just, when I want to express love to someone, that's how I'm going to do it. Doesn't really occur to me much to buy gifts. Certainly acts of service are a big one too. So, we can think about ourselves and how how fluent we are in these 5 different areas. And you may kind of ask, why is this important? Why is it worthwhile to understand what my love language is when I'm receiving, the way I like to give it? And the same for my partner. Mm-hmm. To understand what resonates with them the most, what lands for them the most, and how do they like to express it? And it's such a beautiful thing when you understand this and bring this into the way that you relate with each other. And it doesn't have to be just your love partner, right? Your romantic partner.
right.
Certainly, all of your relationships have this to some degree or another. It's just that, in our romantic relationships, it really, it's highlighted. It's very easy to see. But when you know yours and you know your partners, both the way they like to give and receive, it opens up this whole different level of understanding for you guys. So I'd love to kind of think about from just one standpoint, right? This research and the way that it can be used. There's so many ways, the directions that we could have taken this. But let's just say, for example, somebody feeling either a lack of something in their relationship, right? And you could, a lot of times we could just go, well, this isn't the relationship for me because I feel unheard, or I feel, I don't feel desired. I don't feel wanted. So I guess this just isn't the relationship for me. And that may be true, right? But it may also be true that there are some ways that you can look at it with some different perspectives. And one of them, there's many that we teach, but one of them is the love languages. So for example, maybe let's just say you're feeling a lack of being wanted or desired or appreciated, right? So you kind of, without judging it, without immediately jumping to any conclusions, you can start to run this feeling through a little bit of a process, love languages being one aspect of the process. So you could look for ways that you may not be showing yourself being wanted and desirable. You may ask where, and then, where could you give more of it yourself? You can ask where you have it in other places in your life, right? To make sure that your partner is not the one and only source. Because anytime we make one person, the one and only source of anything in our life, we're asking for trouble, because that's a big hole to fill. That's a big responsibility, and one that probably doesn't serve the relationship. But you can ask, okay, so knowing my partner's love language is gifts, say, right? And if I think about it, oh yeah, they reached out, they thought of me, they went on a trip, they brought me this back, they went to the store and they brought whatever it is, and notice that and really take it as, oh, that's their way of expressing. Maybe it didn't, resonate and land on me in a way that made me feel incredibly wanted, but when I can understand what's happening, oh, my love language is this and their love language is that, and I can start to see how they're expressing that, and then more of it can land on me, and I can feel that if I'm looking for it, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's really powerful because when we look at the love languages, they kind of even overlap with each other. For me, giving gifts and acts of service are the same. And I'm just saying, to me. So when you're digging through these or exploring them, also you can have more than one or two, right? You can have all five and you can give all five, but knowing exactly how and why, it's important. I love how Lori was talking about going over your relationships, right? Your friendships, your guy friend, your intimate partnerships, and examine those to know what you feel. Then also, I also loved how she said that's a big responsibility to give it to someone else, right? So to know who you are, remember, everything goes back to being an inside job. To know what you want is how you can also receive what you need. Because when there's communication about this and you understand it, you can share it with your partner. Like I said, acts, for me, giving gifts and acts of service personally are the same thing. Receiving gifts was really hard for me, right? Like a lot of receiving for people. So be aware, like words of affirmation are almost like a physical touch to me. It's weird, but that's how I perceive it. So know how you feel and how you want it. Spend the time get out your journal, do a page for each one or a column for each one, and start writing down why you feel, if you're drawn to it, that this is for you or that this is one of your things. Now, on the other side of the coin, your partner or your friends, how do you be? We use that word because I was gonna say, how do you give? But that is an act of service, and then that's also
Yeah.
gift giving, right? So how do you put it out to the world? What makes you feel good and know that they feel good? It's not just about us, right? One thing that is interesting about gift giving, the person on the other side might not know how to receive. So don't allow that to throw you if that's your thing, right? Acts of service, gift giving. Just learn how to either tone it back, communicate. It's all about understanding you and then putting yourself in the place of someone else's experience and how they would receive it. So like if you had an experience where you gave a gift and your person didn't receive it very well, it's simply probably because most of humanity doesn't know how to receive gifts. We act stupid until we don't. So knowing all of this and working within these spaces allows you to be more open, one, for your own personal growth, definitely, but also in your relationship. It's really beautiful to be able to understand these and to be able to support each other with the ideas of love. And it's not about going to your partner and saying, you're not, because I did this, so I know it's not about that. About 5 years ago, I went to my husband and I said, look, so here's my love language and you're not giving it to me. And then I started looking at it and going, wow, that was really selfish. What are you giving to him? And so then I made myself aware of what his love language was. And I worked on supporting that love and that need. And energetically, things started to shift, which is crazy good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So understanding it. And so we've been kind of talking about it, how you can use it, right, for yourself to create. And you can also, once you understand, I'm somebody who really loves those words of affirmation. And if your partner is not someone who is used to expressing their feelings through words, right, it doesn't mean that you have to give that up, right, completely. It's just, number one, you want to be looking for it, the love in the ways that they express it, so that the resentment doesn't build, like, he's not telling me the right things, he must not love me, right? Being open to the other ways that it's being expressed. But you can also start to kind of foster that within them. You can say it yourself, right? Because a lot of times someone say, well, they don't tell me that, so I don't feel good telling them that, right? And that just creates more of the disconnect. So if that's your thing, going ahead and expressing it that way, also being really attuned to any time they use that love language with you at all, and letting them know how good that feels and how much you appreciate it. You can also ask gently I would love it if we started every day with just one thing that we really appreciate about each other, or something like that. We don't want to make them, force it down their throat if it's like something really big and super uncomfortable, but we can start small and work on trying to get those words of affirmation, or whatever it is that we truly need. The other thing that can be really beautiful is actually sitting down. There's some great books on love languages. There's online quizzes. There's so
I have
many
that up for
resources.
everybody. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, there's so many resources. Why not? And it depends on your partner. And you don't have to go to dive deep with them. They don't have to read the whole book. They don't have to, but you could, in a 5-minute conversation, you could explain this, right? And you could say, how do you like to? Or maybe they're willing to take the quiz. And then you just have this additional way of relating to each other that they can understand. You could dive in as deeply as you want to in it, but you could also give them, to whatever extent they're willing to understand it with you, and have this communication going and this understanding. And that can be a really beautiful thing, and a way to bring a lot of connection, and understand that we're two different people, trying to come together and meet needs in a really beautiful way. And I had a client I was working with recently who was talking about being unheard. And she felt like, and that was, to her, it was like, that's the way you show me that you love me. That would be along the lines of the quality time, right? Where the quality is that you're here with me, you're present with me, you're focused on what I'm saying. And so I said, okay, help me understand, tell me some of the situations where you're feeling unheard. She said she had gone to a conference during the day, and her husband knew it was important. He was supportive of it and all that. She came home and she couldn't wait to share what she had learned and her experience. And so she bounds in the door. Oh my gosh, she finds him watching the game. Oh my gosh, this was so incredible, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, wow, that's really cool. And he's watching the game. And and that made her feel really, not seen, not heard. And so as we talked about, not only the love languages, but also the fact that, she came in a place where she was, where her husband was engaged in something that he was really interested in. Right. And was like, okay, right here, right now, I need to be heard. Right. And so as we looked at it and kind of explored the situation, it became clear that, having that almost that wall up of I'm not heard, right, didn't allow her to be able to see, oh, I could have approached this a little bit differently. Maybe I could have gone and said, I can't wait to tell you about this. Let me know when it's a good time, or maybe, tomorrow morning over coffee, or whatever it is that would kind of allow them to each have, what they needed. And so it's just a really powerful way that we can interact with each other and not feel triggered. So it's a lot of it is, being in those triggered moments and being willing to ask the question and step out and say, what's really happening here? Is there any kind of, wiggle room or a different way to see this? So, and when you feel like your needs are getting met, you're going to show up differently, right? You're going to bring your happier self. You're going to bring more love and satisfaction, which means the relationship and the communication and the interactions are going to be much more positive.
What you just spoke of about coaching with this woman is really important for all of us to be aware of, because I know on a personal level, I have I've been a stinker. Like, if I don't get the attention, I guess that's why affirmation and that kind of stuff is important to me, right? To have that attention. If I'm not heard in that moment, then I go into a little hole. Nobody would know this about me, and the little Mia is all hurt.
Yeah.
Lori was talking about this. My coaching side, my emotional intelligence side that I teach, and I'm not saying that I do that all the time now, because I've worked on this too.
Right.
I immediately saw, well, of course, he's watching his game. He's into that. It has to be a specific time. Hold your horses. It's okay. But to practice that, everyone, that's the gift. To practice that, to know that, because they are just as amazing soulfully as you. Let them watch whatever they need to watch, because it's not like they're saying, oh, I'm in the middle of a movie that I can't pause for 5 minutes or whatever. A game is a game, right? So there's certain things where we can't get somebody's attention. I love that happened with you and right before this, because
I know, right?
So perfect, because not being seen or heard is almost everyone's sour spot, because it's happened throughout our life. And so it doesn't mean we're any less than to that person or even to ourselves. And that's where the growth is seeing that and stretching ourselves to be patient, to be loving, to be in the space of love. This is why I teach love, because I had to learn it, guys, and I'm still learning it. So it's about being patient, being in that space of love, to allow the beauty of when she has time, when the time comes together, she gets to explode into her greatness and share all of that. That's a really beautiful situation that you shared.
Yeah. And it also reminds us that our triggers in life is that fertile soil for us to be able to look at things. And so a lot of times people will say, oh, I felt this trigger, I shouldn't feel that way, he was just watching the game, and doesn't take the time to validate that part of you. Little Mia, little, Renee, little Sherry, who is feeling like, hey, and because it is a very common childhood experience, right? Where we
Yeah.
weren't, and often we didn't have necessarily the kind of nurturing environment that really helped us see that we are valid and worthy, even if in a moment, right, our needs aren't getting met. So we tend to either stay triggered and say, I'm not getting what I want. This person doesn't validate me. This person doesn't appreciate me. Or we go on the opposite end, which is, I shouldn't feel this way. This is immature, whatever. When really the growth opportunity is to be with that part, honor that part, let that part tell you what it's here to tell you. You don't have to act from it, but we do need to hear from it and let it get its needs met. We just want it to get its needs met in a way that is most conducive to a loving, creating a loving, understanding environment. So it's not about ignoring needs. So please don't hear that by any stretch of the imagination. It's really about being able to be in the triggered moments long enough and with the right tools, and sometimes with the right guidance, because very often without guidance, we don't know that it's a triggered moment. All we know is that that person's being unfair to us, or this doesn't feel good, or whatever. And we don't really know how to see it any other way, right? It's how we've always seen it. So it's a really valuable place. And that's, in the relationship course, that is offered through The Greatest You, there is a beautiful opportunity to take triggers and use them to grow a relationship. And that's such a beautiful thing, because typically we think, oh, the triggers are the place. If we have triggers, there's a problem. If we try to look at triggers, we get all, confrontational, and there's a lot of conflict around them. So we just, try to set them aside as much as possible until they build so much and then they blow up, and we're dealing with, an extra big volcano kind of a situation. But really, when we can step back and say, okay, I'm feeling triggered. There's some really good information here. There's a process I can take my triggers through. And that's one of the things that we teach in the relationship course. Many of you may know about the Academy, the Greatest You Academy. And one of the most important things that me and I do in there is help connect you to you first and foremost, because when you have that knowledge of who you are and you're meeting, the majority of your needs for yourself, then you can step into a relationship wanting to share life, wanting to experience love, as opposed to validate me, make me worthy, help me feel happy, fix this, issue in my life. I just need to find the person, and then everything will go away and my life will be perfect, and and all of that. So the Greatest You, the Academy, being such an important place for getting you in touch with this version of you that you can take into a relationship. I'll also mention next month, we're going to be doing the offering the Ready for a Divine Love Connection course, which is kind of an intensive 4-week course that really brings out a lot of the foundational pieces of what does it take in order to be able to step into that situation where I'm somebody who's not looking to a relationship to fix any aspect of me or my life, but actually coming at it from a resourced, brilliant, powerful, whole place where I want to share and experience things together in a really divine, beautiful way. And thirdly, well, I guess there's 4 things, because we have the beautiful work that Mia has always done with self-love, And we're actually elevating that to something that we're calling self-devotion, because it transcends just the acceptance of self to really being in deep relationship with self. And so that's another avenue that's offered through the Greatest You Academy. And then, of course, we have our work with relationship, which if you are someone, or you know someone who is, wanting to take their relationship to the next level, or learn how to work through conflict, learn how to work through these areas where we don't feel 100% fulfilled and satisfied in our relationship. So these are ways that we, take what the little pieces that we teach in our Tuesday classroom here, and really help you integrate them into your life in a powerful way right now, especially this season of love, right? And as we approach Valentine's Day, we're doing a lot with the getting ready for relationship, in relationship, and then relationship with self. And of course, the Academy is being a foundation for all of it. So
and we did something very interesting. We decided not to put the pressure on you guys about love. So if you've noticed, we didn't start talking about love until February. Most people start in January so that they could build up to February. We're starting in March because we want you to continue that excitement. So we have an online show that's coming to you with about 20 other speakers that are bringing things to it. We have a master class for you. March is going to be a big month. We have a master class for you. We have Ready for Divine Love Connection. A lot of beautiful stuff is coming out for you guys. So we're really excited about love and continuing it. I'd like to share with you guys, I put it in the chat, it's the 5 Love Language quiz. So it's 5lovelanguage.com/quizzes. And then also we said that we would tell you a few books that could support you. There's one called The 5 Love Languages, The Secret Love That Lasts. And right now on your Audible, if you have that, it's free. And then there's also The 5 Love Languages of Children, The Secret of Loving Children Effectively. That's really beautiful as well. The 5 Love Languages, How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate. So there's a lot. If you just type in love languages, you'll get all the information that you're looking for.
Yeah. And don't feel like it's something that you have to become, this in-depth student of,
yeah, only if it triggers you.
This is something really, it's very intuitive. So as you're reading and looking at I can see how I've done that. It really resonates, and it's something that is really easy to understand. And so bringing it to your partner, or just seeing it for yourself is something, in just a short amount of time. Even the little bit of teaching that we did today, I'm sure can really open you up to see.
So I'm going to screen share here for a moment, because we have up our so just, I love how Lori said intuitive, because this is how I learn my best way. Oops, let me get that out of the way. Is to, and I recommend this with my private clients and stuff. And so in our group coaching, we're going to recommend it too. Take this. You don't have to necessarily get the book. Write in love languages, hit images, and up will come different ones. It gives you the explanation and what it is. Take that and run with that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to dive in deeper, that's fine. But even understanding the 4 agreements, if you take the 4 agreements and you study that, you're doing wonders. If you take the 5 love languages and you bring that into your experience and work with that, how does it affect me? How do I receive? How do I give? That's beautiful too. So just know that we're saying as teachers that that's an okay, great way, so that you don't overwhelm yourself as well.
And your partner. That's another thing. Sometimes we get all this great information, and we really feel like, oh, they got to understand it at the same level for it to be effective. I really need them. And sometimes, that might be hard for them. Maybe they don't have the interest in it, that kind of thing. And that's okay. Or maybe they feel like, oh, I'm not doing a good job And so, you know, she's here. That's a big thing for men. They often, even if they're not outwardly saying it, they often feel like I'm not doing a good job. And so they're quick to interpret things that we may bring to them as we need to do this because you're not doing your part. You're not doing a good job. So just, you know, having something really simple and fun where you say, you know, I never knew that that this was a thing, and it's really interesting. I'd love to share it with you. You know, so just being kind of sensitive about that, and not, it doesn't mean that they're not interested or that it can't be something that a tool that you use together, even if the reception of it initially is not, you know, overwhelmingly excited. So yeah. So and another, you know, takeaway that I'd love to, you know, just leave you with is think about in your own life. You're obviously here, and I commend you for showing up, and that is, and for all those on the replay, because I know we have a really beautiful group that does watch the replays. So just give some thought to, you know, the things that we mentioned today, and ask yourself if you're ready for some more growth. And we would love to be able to support you, guide you, coach you in that. The Greatest You Academy is a 12 module course that takes you from, you know, goes through. Do we have a link? We could probably throw the link in here for anyone who wants to kind of explore what it is, but it's, you know, those foundational pieces of getting in touch with who you are, knowing how your nervous system plays into your growth and the things that you want to achieve, learning to work with your thoughts, learning to work with your emotions, how to have healthy, strong relationships, how to take care of your physical well-being. And then from there, okay, what is it that you want to create with life? We teach you the dream, believe, create process in the Greatest You Academy. The Academy comes with the bi-weekly coaching, live coaching meetings, so that you can get the integration, you can get your questions answered, you can be supported, you could be surrounded by other people who are sharing a similar vision and feeling inspired by each other. That's been one of the most valuable aspects. So you've got the education, the integration, the support, the live support, the true coaching. And we bring that to you. It's a sign up on a month-to-month basis without, you know, any obligations, without long-term commitments. And I know, and I really would stress that, because this is very unusual. Usually you have, you know, long-term contracts, you have, or big ticket items, big ticket programs. And me and I just said, you know, that's not the time for that. People, doesn't serve right now. So the Academy is just a simple $97 a month.
You
And
get all that stuff
you get all of that stuff
and more.
and more. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And it's the foundation for all of the things that you want in your life, whatever it is that you're experiencing and saying, this isn't working. The Greatest You is a place to understand what's going on and how to transcend.
And also, just so everybody understands and on the replay, Lori and I last year in 2022 we sold our academy at $1,700 for 6 months,
which was also unheard of.
And I'm telling, yeah, it was supposed to be double that, but we thought, oh, we'll do it as a beta. We'll test it out. It went incredibly well. But Lori, with her big heart, because literally I'm like, whatever she brings to the table in business, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do that, because if it's different than what we're doing. And so this was Lori's idea. So thank you, Lori, because it serves the masses.
Well, as we were talking, you know, both of us, it's just so discouraging to see like that growth and transformation has been limited to, you know, a group of people who have a lot of extra resources. Right. And that shouldn't be, because our mission is to you know, as many people as we can touch, as many people as we can get out there feeling like they're living as their greatest self. Like, yeah. So we, you know, thinking about how things are today and what people actually need, to us, it felt like this served. So we're excited, very excited to bring that and build more community and get people the tools and the support that they need without having to, you know, really stretch themselves so thin that the answer is no for a lot of people. So
Right.
think about this, honestly, think about this. And if you want to, talk with us about whether it's something that could serve you, we're available for that. But taking away from today, the love languages, asking yourself, how you'd like to use this just to strengthen and work through triggers, could be a very valuable aspect to your relationship and who you want to be, right, as a person in relationship with someone else.
Yeah, I'm going to do one more show and tell really quick because I think that it's important.
I'm excited. I don't know what it is.
I know you don't. You're so cute. I just want you guys, whoops, wanted that one up. Yeah, I want you guys to see how beautiful this is.
Hmm.
So I'm going to share it. So this is the greatesthewacademy.com. This is what Lori's talking about. It's beautiful. It explains everything. It's unbelievable. I'm not having you read it off of my screen. I'm just showing you how powerful this site is with the words, the content, the visual, the feeling. All of this is so powerful for the individual that even just take a look at it, guys. Just take a look at it and share it with somebody else. It's cool.
Yeah, exactly. All right, beautiful
Thank you
ladies.
all. I'm gonna turn off the
And too
recording.
that might be watching the replay.
Yeah, it was so nice for all of you to join us. I'm going to turn off the recorder.